Welcome to Weight Loss and Wellness for Real, the podcast where people like you get the practical solutions and support you need to permanently lose the physical and mental weight so you can feel better and live the life you really want to live in the body and mind you really want to be living in. If you're looking to overcome your stress eating, overeating, binging behaviors, and move to a place of food and body freedom, as well as find more meaning and more moments of joy in life, you are in the right place. Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here and tuning in. Today, we are talking about something that has come up, I think, for every client I have ever worked with who is trying to either lose weight or find better health, change a habit, create a new sort of lifestyle. And this has absolutely come up for me time and time again as I was kind of on my food journey, if you will, my health journey. This is going to be all about the part of us that we all know too well, what I call the rebel. And it's that little voice inside that says, nope, not today. Even when we've set really clear intentions, whether it's to improve our health, our relationships, or so I'm guessing this sounds very familiar to many of you. So let's dig in and we're going to really explore why this rebel shows up and how we can work with our rebel rather than fighting it. So imagine this. You've decided to eat in a way that supports your health. You've stocked your fridge with fresh veggies. You've planned out balanced meals. And for a few days, everything is really going great. And then one night, out of nowhere, you hear that inner voice say, forget the veggies. I deserve pizza. I want pizza. I'm going to eat what I want. And before you know it, you're halfway through a pizza and a pint of ice cream and a sleeve of cookies. And you're thinking things like, why am I doing this? Why did I do that? I know better than this. This is not what I want for myself. Or maybe you've committed to being more patient with your kids or your partner. You really want to respond calmly with some emotion regulation, not letting your emotions get the best of you. But after a long day, you're stressed, you're tired, and that rebel voice pops up. Why should I have to keep it together when no one else is? I've earned the right to yell. And just like that, the change you were working toward is suddenly derailed. Okay, so let's really talk about this. Who is that rebel inside us? That rebel part of us is something I see every single one of us has. We set goals, we have the best of intentions, but there's that part of our psyche that says, nope, I don't want to, I won't, you can't make me. And so, what's really going on here? Why do we sabotage ourselves when we know these changes will make our lives better? When we really, really want to make these changes? The rebel often emerges when we feel pressure, restriction, or deprivation. This is why I'm always talking about that is not how we do not want to make changes. Changes that we really, really want, we do not want to make them from deprivation or restriction. And this is why, because the rebel shows up, that part of us that craves freedom and autonomy, it really feels threatened when we have any pressure going on, restriction or deprivation. It really is like a teenager in some way. In internal family systems, and that's a theory that we use in therapy. I use it a lot, and it has to do with all the different parts of us and having conversations between those parts of us to really be able to internally heal and make changes from the inside out. We recognize that we all have different parts of ourselves that want different things. The rebel is actually often a protector. It's a part of you that believes it's keeping you safe by resisting rules, routines, and restrictions. Okay, so you might be thinking, how in the world is the rebel protecting me when it's sabotaging my efforts? But if we really look at it, the rebel's goal is to keep you from discomfort. It's the part of you that wants to protect you from feelings of failure, from being too hard on yourself, from feeling overwhelmed by change. When the rebel says, I'm going to eat all the cookies and I don't care, It's trying to comfort you. Maybe because deep down there's a fear that sticking with the plan will feel too hard, too restrictive, or not fun. When the rebel yells, I'm not going to study, I'll just do it tomorrow, it's trying to protect you from the discomfort of discipline and effort. The problem is, while the rebel is trying to shield you from short term discomfort, it's really keeping us from that long term growth and peace that comes from achieving your goals. So I want you to think of, well, I just said, I kind of think of the rebel as a teenager. Think of the rebel, as a child or a teenager who doesn't like being told what to do. The more you say, oh, you can't have this or you must do that. By the way, if you've had a teacher, you're probably going to really understand this, or been a teenager. You could think back to the time when you were there, but the more a parent is saying, no, you can't have this or you must do that, the more that part of you pushes back. So just like a child needs boundaries, but also needs to feel understood and have some agency. This is where parents can really go wrong with their kiddos when they're setting that structure and they have these rules and boundaries, but they don't add the second part. They don't add on helping the child feel understood and helping the child have some agency in that. The rebel part of you needs to be acknowledged and worked with compassionately. So, yep, there's structures, there's soft guidelines, there's these boundaries that, yep, they do need to be in place in order for us to have growth, just like a kiddo. But that rebel part is the part that also needs to be acknowledged and really heard and seen in this very compassionate way. So if we ignore or suppress this rebel, it often comes back stronger. But if we take time to listen what he or she is protecting us from, we can work with that part of us instead of against it. All right, so why does the rebel show up? Here's a few reasons why the rebel tends to come up, especially when we are working towards change. So, number one, fear of failure. It's huge. This was huge for me. The rebel would rather not try at all than risk trying and failing. It's protecting you from the vulnerability that comes with change. Number two reason, perfectionism. Hey everyone, just a real quick interruption. I'm really excited to tell you about PhysiVantage, a company I have used for years and years and who I have recently partnered with in an ambassadorship for the podcast. This is one of the highest quality supplement companies out there. And the best part is I know the owner and his commitment to quality in his products. I actually interviewed the owner, Eric Hurst, on the podcast a while back, and you can hear him talk firsthand about his commitment to quality in episode, I think it was 171, if you're interested. Also in that one, there was a ton you can learn about aging optimally and performing at your best. I think when people make the decision to add some supplements into their daily habits, they don't think often how important it is to know and vet the companies you are buying from. There is no regulation on supplements. And so when you buy something, you really have no idea what you are getting. You really want to vet the companies heavily so that you know what you are spending your money on and exactly that you're getting exactly what you believe you're buying. So with PhysiVantage, you really don't have to think about it. What you buy is the highest quality of what you can get. I use the PhysiVantage PowerPlex plant-based protein complex. And no, I am not plant-based, but I'm not doing well with dairy right now, and whey protein causes some issues for me. This is something I'm working on. But in the meantime, in order for me to get in my optimal daily protein amount for maintaining lean body mass, keeping my appetite in check, and for athletic performance, I have to supplement with a protein powder, and this is my favorite. I alternate between vanilla and chocolate, and this plant-based protein complex is different than others out there in that it includes all the essential amino acids. So it's like a whey protein, it has all the essential amino acids. Most plant-based protein powders don't. It also has creatine and beta-alanine in it. These are huge bonuses. Plus, PhysiVantage plant protein only has a few carbs in it, where most plant protein powders have lots and lots. If you do well with whey protein, then use their whey protein blend. It's also really great. PhysiVantage has lots of great products that you can check out, but another one that I find so helpful for my goals and lifestyle is Redux HP. And this is an all natural pain relief, which helps to improve recovery from rigorous exercise, supports a healthy inflammation response, combats muscle breakdown, and improves performance. But the best is it's an all natural way to relieve aches, pains, and muscle soreness. This has saved me from popping ibuprofen for the couple of migraines I was getting twice a month, as well as when I had a big climbing or biking day and would wake up sore. So if you don't know how bad things can get from popping Ibu, do a little research. Avoid Ibu, in my opinion, really important for our health long term. So anyway, using this product instead can be a really great way to lessen pain naturally and inflammation. You can get a discount on any PhysiVantage product by going to physivantage.com. PhysiVantage is spelled PhysiVantage. So like physical advantage, PhysiVantage, and use my code Heather Heinen. Capital HEATHER, capital HEYNEN, all one word, no spaces, Heather Heinen, and you will save some money on any product you choose. I also have a link in the episode description below that you can use. Check it out and see all that they have to offer. The rebel resists rigid rules or the pressure to be perfect, which can really lead to all or nothing mentality. Sort of like eating one cookie and then thinking, well, I've blown it, I might as well eat them all. So the rebel kind of comes in and is just like, screw it all. We're not doing that perfectionism thing. You're not going to win anyway. The third one is burnout or overwhelm. I see this one a lot too. Sometimes the rebel shows up because you're just pushing too hard. It's really trying to help prevent burnout by encouraging you to take a break. But it does it in a way that's very immature. It really derails your progress in the way that it's trying to do it. And then the fourth one I see is loss of autonomy. So the rebel may push back when we feel restricted or controlled, even if we're the ones setting the rules, right? It's that idea, just like a child, they still need agency, they still need autonomy. We still need agency, we still need autonomy so that we're not feeling controlled or restricted. So let's talk about some ways how we can work with this rebel part of us because fighting it actually only makes it stronger and things just get more and more difficult over time if we don't do some healing around this part of us. One of the first things I teach my clients is having a dialogue with your rebel. So start by acknowledging this part of you. You can say, I see you. I know you're trying to protect me, but I also know that sticking with this change will ultimately make me feel better. Literally having a conversation with yourself, with this part of you. It's so important. It's such an important strategy because once you start doing this, you start to see, oh my goodness, I'm actually like I'm changing here from the inside out. I can feel the change happening. So I really encourage dialogue between our parts. And this would be dialogue with the rebel. If you want to go a step further, I love even more if you can kind of put a visual to who your rebel is. How old is your rebel? What age are you at when this rebel part of you? Really try to have a visual so that when you're having these conversations, you really can visualize talking to this part of you, what he or she looks like, how old he or she is. You know, you could give him or her a name. So really trying to be able to have a clearer visualization so that you can have these conversations back and forth between you and your rebel. Okay, second strategy, negotiate, don't dictate. Just like you would not force a child to follow a rigid set of rules without understanding their needs, you can negotiate with your rebel. Find ways to make your goal feel less restrictive. This is all about doable goals. If you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you've heard me say it over and over. If you're a client of mine, you've heard me say it over and over again. This is why we need doable goals. Find ways to make your goal feel less restrictive. For example, instead of saying, I can never have cookies, I can never have carbs, you can say, I can have a cookie when I'm really enjoying it and mindfully savoring it. Third strategy, create flexibility. If your rebel shows up when you feel too restricted, create flexibility in your plan. Maybe instead of committing to a 30-minute work, I just had this conversation with a client yesterday. Maybe instead of committing to a daily 30-minute workout, you give yourself permission to do 10 minutes 2 days a week. That way, the rebel doesn't feel like it's losing all its freedom. You really want to create flexibility in your goal setting. And then number four, it's a little bit deeper, but addressing the underlying fear. So if your rebel is protecting you from failure or burnout, really reassure that part of you. You can journal about how failure is part of the process and how small steps are enough, because often we're telling ourselves things like, this is not enough, I'm not doing enough, which just isn't true. That actually ends up sabotaging us. So remind this rebel part of yourself that you can make progress without perfection. I'm going to give you a couple journal prompts to help you start to work with your rebel part, just two. So, number one, what is my rebel trying to protect me from? So, try to figure out for yourself, is it failure, discomfort, overwhelm? Again, getting clarity around our stories, around what's going on, coming from a deeper level. That clarity piece gives us a sense of control, which can help us move forward. And then the second one, how can I work with my rebel rather than against him or her to still achieve my goals? So those would be the journal prompts that I would give you. Remember, the big piece here is that the rebel is not your enemy. It's a part of you that wants to keep you safe. So, by understanding its role and working with it compassionately, you can stop sabotaging your efforts and really move forward toward the changes you truly want to make. All right, thanks for listening today. If you found this helpful, I'd love to hear how you've been negotiating with your own rebel. You can put some comments in the episode underneath that, post them through or message me through Instagram. That's at Heinen Counseling and Coaching. Until next time, stay kind to yourself, take it one step at a time. We will talk soon. Did you know you can find a lot more help from me on my website? Go to heatherheinen.com. Heinen is spelled Heynen, and there you will find links to my online courses, how I work with clients one-on-one, as well as online with my coaching and counseling services that I offer. The information in this podcast is intended to provide a broad understanding and knowledge of healthcare topics. This information is for educational purposes only and should not be considered complete and should not be used in place of advice from your physician or healthcare provider. We recommend you consult your physician or healthcare professional before beginning or altering your personal exercise, diet, or supplementation program.